afternoon. A bit of a tough afternoon room, especially since it's split into the 3 different streams, but we're going to wake you up. We're definitely going to wake you up because I think this is going to be an amazing session with Deidre Paknad. Now, I think, Deidre, you've got 2 things really that I think you can articulate. One is some thoughts on kind of the way the AI market is going, which is obviously incredibly important. We can't have a single session without mentioning that. But I think first we wanted to dig into really articulating something about how CVCs and entrepreneurs can work together. So I'm just going to quickly tell the room that I'll let Deidre tell you a little bit more about herself, but I'm going to say this first, that Deidre, you're like the real deal. You're like the entrepreneur that all the VCs are looking for, right? So 3 successful companies that you've built.
I'm still working on this 3rd one.
Yeah, well, it's looking like, WorkBoard seems to be doing pretty well so far. And also, each time you've had corporate investors involved, and you've got a pretty august group for this latest one, right? So it's M12, Intel, Capital One, and I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, Workday.
Yep.
So someone who has very intentionally built these kind of cap tables with the right investors, really thought about it. And so I think you, above anybody else, are like kind of the person that CVC should be looking to make feel happy, to be helping your life, to be courting your, the invitation to join one of your companies, right? And so I think to articulate kind of what that looks like, what does good look like for you? Nicolas Sauvage, right at the start of today, said, his customer is the entrepreneur. So let's hear it from the customer point of view. Let's talk about what is that good experience. But because I've given such a short introduction, please just tell us a little bit about the journey, a little kind of personal history.
Yeah. So I'm co-founder and CEO of WorkBoard AI, which is a strategy, execution, and OKR system used by large enterprises like Ford and Mercedes and United Healthcare and Workday and Cisco and others. The CVCs in WorkBoard that have participated have been super intentional, and from our Series A, which was M12, Workday came in our B. In our D, it was Intel, Capital One, and Silicon Valley Bank as our corporate ventures group. And I'll add, they came in alongside Andreessen Horowitz, SoftBank, and Notable Capital. So my traditional VCs are equally, skilled at their jobs, I guess.
And what Deidre's not telling you is that, the round was so heavily subscribed that people were begging you to get on it. So this wasn't like you had to go to CVC because you couldn't get money from anybody else, right?
No, nobody does that.
About that.
Yeah, well, maybe they do that, but that's not why they should do it. When we started the company, it was very focused on enterprise buyers and customers, large enterprise. So you can sort of look at that ecosystem and say, who influences my customer, right? What credibility, what partnerships, what ecosystem matter to the target market I have? And Workday and Microsoft were super important right from the beginning for that reason. So we sought out M12. We were in the first class of companies they invested in. They'd just been formed, and we just were looking for first money. They came in quite early, that Series A. We knew we wanted Workday at the table, and it became super important to have them at the table when we raised our Series B, because what we were hearing from our target customers was, what you do sounds like what Workday does. So their importance to us as an ecosystem player ratcheted way up, because if Workday was an investor in our company, well, they obviously didn't do what we do, and it would simplify the market's understanding. So even if the market didn't understand my new category, that signal said it's not a conflict and it's not competitive with Workday. So that was a super important investment. Also important for them to be our customer, because nothing clarifies Workday doesn't do that when Workday does it with your thing.
And which came first? Were they a customer before they invested?
They were a customer 5 months before they invested, yeah. When we got later stage, Series D, which was a SoftBank-led round after Andreessen, we wanted to have some marquee customers in the banking industry. Capital One was the tech innovator in banking. That was a really important one. So both having them as a customer, which we do, and having them as an investor helped reference us into that space and domain. And in our arena, OKRs and strategy execution systems and so on, Intel is the sort of origin story of that management technique. So having Intel as, again, a customer and an investor added credibility and really top dog status for us in our market category. So each of them was about advancing our place in the market and with our customers, and none of them were accidents or need for money.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it was super intentional. One of the things that I thought was really interesting when we were talking about this session was that you articulated really clearly, though, that there are such different things that startups are doing at various stages of their life, and that perhaps sometimes CVCs don't always know what their role is at those stages. Now, we're probably not talking about your current set of CVC investors, but we're talking more generally that if you come into a round, that you're perhaps brought in to do a specific role, and if you don't understand that role. So I just wonder if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and it's, in a sense, it's sort of the what does great look like question, right? So the first thing great looks like is set real expectations with the entrepreneur about what you can do, what you as a person can do, and then what your organization, your ventures group can do. And don't overhype that or overpromise that, because it really, that doesn't wear well. And we all talk to each other. And we tell each other the what went wrong stories way more often than we tell the what went right stories. So trust me on that. So set expectations you can deliver on, you intend to deliver on, you have the wherewithal to deliver on. That's the first thing that great looks like. Just matched expectations on both sides. Then what we, especially with the CVCs we have in the market and target customers we want, right? It mattered a lot that we sell to each of those corporations, which we do. And in the case of both Microsoft and Workday, it also mattered a lot to us that we sell with them to their customers as well. And it mattered, particularly for me, that we could show our customers that our teeny tiny little company really worked well in their corporate ecosystem, which is heavily dominated by both Microsoft and Workday. And so we also want the product innovation, joint roadmap, like clarity on how our product families go together, not just because I said so, but because also my partner said so, and that's how we really execute inside the customer's environment. So the sell to, sell with, innovate with are super important. But what great looks like in practice, and I'll add a huge shout out to M12 and to Workday, who I think really, really do it right. They have phenomenal people, which is where it really starts and ends, and structure that work really, really well. And that structure means everyone kind of knows how to operate, which is such a simplifier. I don't know how to operate in their world, but thank goodness they know how to operate in their world, because they've got structured swim lanes, routes, angles, program support, like people support around it. So they can not only be great people with great ideas, they have a mechanism to go execute on those and act on those in their environment. And step back to the people part, though. I want to be able to text them and seek help. Like, meeting with so-and-so, here's what we think, here's what we're hearing. Are we insane? Is that really what's happening? Give us a scoop, right? And then after the meeting, here's what they said, here's what we heard. Are they just being polite? Is that really true? What are we not hearing? What was not said out loud that actually matters to our ability to advance that innovation, or advance as a channel partner, or advance as sell to? Like, really being a coach, as you would in a classic enterprise sales cycle, really being a coach and a guide. It's super helpful. I
wonder if we can sort of double click on that for a second, because I think, again, one of the things that you were saying is this can be one of those areas where VCs can sometimes be more switched on to the entrepreneur's needs than maybe always CVCs are, that you need that really personal relationship and that being really invested in your journey.
Yeah, there's mean, if we step back from what's a great CVC look like, and we just say, well, what's the startup's journey, right? What's the founder CEO's journey? And it's just very different than your journey. For example, if you're a first-time founder, your odds of success are 18%. It's like, when was the last time you did anything, personally or professionally, where your odds of success were that low? When was the last time you put that at stake? And it's probably wasn't this year, and maybe it wasn't last year, and maybe it was never. Where your odds of the thing you're gonna sign up to do for the next 5 or 7 years, your odds of succeeding at it are 18%. So what the founder's putting at risk is a lot. They're gonna put their financial health, they're gonna put at least 7 years of their career on the table. If it goes haywire, they're gonna put their relationships on the table, and they're gonna put even maybe their physical health on the table. Because the thing about, I think, starting a company and being a founder is an extreme sport. It's like extreme skiing. Could be the run of your lifetime, or you could break a lot of bones, or you could just flat out die. And that 18% is odds of flat out die, this thing you're creating, the odds are high. And the thing is, as you said yesterday, when you start the run, you can't stop. You can't just like walk off the golf course right now. Once you take people's money, you just keep going. And that intensity of that and the what's at stake for the founder, that's different stuff. Those are different people even at some level. And what I find in VCs, especially VCs, traditional VCs, where they're previous founders, super high empathy on the hard work involved. And they also tend to be a little more aware of the job to be done at seed, the job to be done at Series A stage, the job to be done at a Series B stage and a Series C stage. At each one of those stages, the founder has to reconstitute themselves and solve almost entirely different problems in the business. And the whole journey is about debugging your route to market, your offer to market, and your ability to serve market. It's just debugging it, because it's all broken from the start. And VCs are really aware of it's all broken from the start, and it's a giant debugging journey. And sometimes if you are, especially if you're new in corporate ventures, you think you don't have that. Things don't start broken, they start working, and then you've worked the edges. Yeah. And the sensitivity to like, what's the job in the moment at this stage of the company's life, and how much imperfection is just baked into that. Yeah. VCs are super tuned to that, CVCs a little less.
So maybe that's something, because we see a lot more CVCs now investing at early stages. I mean, we've definitely seen a real trend over the last 3 years to more seed and Series A. Yeah. And so I guess with that, then, what you would need to do is you need to understand that there's going to be so many unknowns at this point. That you cannot expect anything that looks like clarity, perfection, a plan. The plan might change every other day,
Sure, yeah. And the VCs, when they're really courting you, part of maybe the essence of it is, I want to be the first person you text when it goes perfect and when it goes to hell. And for them to be that first person you text, that high awareness of the journey, that high awareness of the stages and high empathy, those are ingredients. Yeah. Right? That's how they win deals, to be honest.
So apart from, you said, the honesty about what you can offer and the awareness, do you think there are any other things that you would say to, a CVC coming into this kind of relationship? Like, what do you want to see from them?
Mm-hmm. I think that going past the words to a structured approach to, here's what we can do in the first 3 months, this is what we'll do every 6 months, this is what we can do over the course of the year, this is how we activate this is how we activate the next thing, and so on. Those, having an actual plan and a playbook that you run, as opposed to each conversation with each founder is a bespoke conversation with maybe no particular angle from here. That's hard, right? It feels like wasting time. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, if you have a set of playbooks that people in the CVC know how to run and to go execute, we all just build value faster that way, right? And again, shout out to M12, they really have it down. really have it down. Enablers and access and avenues and accelerators and like moving you through what is a giant organization really, really quickly. And people who know, who have the job of accelerating you into a co-sell, for example, or into a co-innovation situation or setup. Those things, for a small company with 50 people and then the 200,000 person company, you can't get there from here. You really need a team with a playbook working for you.
Okay, it sounds like we probably need to hit up Michelle to find out her playbook and get that, circulated around, because it sounds good. Given that we've only got kind of 5 minutes left, and we did want to get to the AI part of the talk. I mean, given that you have such a front row seat to kind of what is happening so fast now with enterprise software, AI, and so on, what are your thoughts on how to kind of navigate through that and make sure that you sort of stay ahead of the wave?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things in play. And one is every startup company that was born before 2022, no matter what stage they are, if they're a Series D company or whatever, if they're not Databricks and they're not Cursor, they were born before 2022, they're a Series A company now. They have to act like that, they have to think like that, they have to behave like that, they have to debug like that, and that they have to have that mindset that we're way back at the beginning of, does this product work? Is this our ICP in this world? Is this the route to market? Is this the pricing model? Is this growth model? Like, you really have to start way back with a beginner's mind, Series A mind, if you were born before 2022. And I say that first because I live that, and second because it would be really helpful if you appreciated that that's where your portcos are if they are older than, say, 4 years. That they got to be back at that too. And they have to actually reimagine their internal operating model at the same time, right? So we are, we've changed everything about the internals of the company, and frankly, we've also changed everything about the product offering that we have, from a traditional SaaS to now agent native. And the way we run inside looks totally different than the way we ran even a year ago, right? The second thing I would say is the world is changing super fast. And I've lived in Palo Alto for 30 years, so I've been in the center of fast for a long time. It's faster than fast right now. And your companies probably aren't. And one of the things I think is an interesting opportunity is not to look to the companies born last year as examples for how to move fast, how to grow fast, et cetera, and bring those into your company, but instead, go look at those companies in your portfolio that are older than 4 years, who have reimagined everything while they had everything at stake. Changed the wheels on the bus while the bus was driving on the freeway, right? Those guys know a lot more about what change means when you've got sunk cost, deep commitment, current operating process and procedure, et cetera. They're actually getting really good at change right now. Not being born fresh, but actually having to change midstream. And I think that they can have a different insight to corporations on, like, how do we take advantage of all that AI has to offer? And speaking from a I wasn't and now I am perspective versus, well, I have no legacy, I just got to start fresh. Because a lot of people in your corporations will roll their eyes at that thought, because there's no day one in big enterprise, right? There's just tomorrow, and what are we going to do? And I think your mid-stage portcos probably have some insight on, here's what we ripped out, here's what we replaced, here's how we do this differently, here's how we rethought that, here's what was hard, here's what we learned, here's how we got people to change, which are really I think the enterprise dynamics for change.
And so where do you think the big opportunities are for companies right now who maybe didn't make that fortunate investment, really prescient investment sort of 2 years ago, but if they're looking now, where are the opportunities coming?
For startup companies or for
I guess
CVCs?
For CVCs looking to invest into the new AI economy.
Well, I think lots of good conversations today on what people are looking at, and I think the big three of AI defense and maybe say physical AI. I think those are really obvious opportunities. And that's where I think there are a lot of people raising money. We're in a push to profitability instead, which is not a go raise money. I'm not at the podium saying I'm raising a $60 million round, see me outside. But I think there's a ton of great opportunities for Invest right now, a lot. And there'll be many more. And then there'll be a bunch that don't make it, even though they had a really great idea, because it takes so much more than a great idea to make a company.
It sure does. But listen, we're out of time, so thank you so much, Deidre. It was such a pleasure, and I hope people took something from that in terms of the next conversation that you have with an entrepreneur in your portfolio. You know, maybe there's that little bit of empathy or something that you might do differently. So thank you very much.
Thanks for staying in the room for our session here late in the day. I really appreciate it.